right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Daddario. I'm on the set of Mayfair Witches Season 2. I think we've really leveled up this season.
Action.
We have a lot of great new actors.
Are you rolling?
Action.
Going to Scotland, we really live in the world of British folk horror.
It's a very dramatic place to be shooting.
The puzzle of that dollhouse was so extraordinary.
I get to do a lot of interesting stuff this year. I get to feed my own arm to my father.
I like the action stuff. It's always good.
This big battle fight, this is 4 months in the making.
The show is going to be irresistible.
Woo, it's going to be an exciting season.
I'm a big fan of really weird stuff, especially on this show. I think the weirder, the better.
Let's shoot!
Anne Rice gave us such a rich, dark world to play with. It's very gothic.
Anne Rice's book, Lasher, is such an incredibly wild book. It goes to extraordinary places, made us feel open to inventing as well.
We were all interested in knowing what Esther and co were going to come up with.
We went into the first day of the writer's room and we're like, this is such a fun adaptation. We had a huge whiteboard up and it was just like everything from the novel that was inspiring that we felt we hadn't ever seen anywhere else. It was really this wellspring of just exciting, strange ideas.
Why are you here, Lasher?
You invited me.
The book is called Lasher, and we wanted to be in his point of view in a way that we had not been in the first season.
He's somebody who's just come into his human form. How can we show a different side of Lasher? The human side. Somebody who isn't used to this world, doesn't understand his purpose. So in essence, we thought of Frankenstein's monster as a bit of a template for what Lasher's journey was like.
What are you? What the damn hell are you?
He was always an antagonist in the first season, and this season, he's on a journey of self-understanding. He's trying to figure out, what am I, where is home, how do I define myself?
We actually find by him being human, he finds his humanity. He doesn't want to cause pain. He doesn't want to be this evil entity.
I've caused so much suffering, misery. I've killed. I won't do it again.
Anne Rice's source material is extraordinarily complicated, and we wanted that complication.
He looks human, but he can't be human. Tell me what's going on.
This is a child, this is a demon, this is my son, this is my lover.
He's forced himself into the world through her, but he's a baby, and she's trying to understand what he is.
It's really interesting to play with the idea that you're a sort of new mother, but not really, and it's nothing like you expected.
You look like you could use some sleep.
She's just like every mother, sleep-deprived, exhausted, kind of looking at this thing that seems to be growing way too fast. It's all sped up with Lasher, but in some ways it's the feeling that every mother has about, what is this thing that I've given birth to?
Give it to me.
I'm gonna need you to learn how to say please.
There were some metaphors for the sort of shock and unknown of being a new mother and how overwhelming it can actually be, and that it's not all just joy.
Fix her. Fix her.
Although Rowan is maybe dealing with far more because her child is a demon.
What is happening?
One of my favorite moments in the first episode is a moment where baby Lasher pulls out his own teeth. Children do. They, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle and pull out their teeth. But this is a super strong baby who's kind of like, gleefully, as he's bleeding, strong enough to pull these teeth out. And for a mother watching that, is that a normal thing? Is that, so it seems demonic, but it also seems normal, and sort of walking the line of those two things. Even as I say that, I'm laughing and smiling. We had to be really careful that it wasn't funny. Lighting was one of the first things we talked about. We cannot ever, ever, ever light this baby in bright light. We do not want to have a kind of angelic, smiling baby, and we have to keep this baby always in shadow.
We had to make a infant talk, but 10 months, 12 months, however old he was, can obviously not speak. So we put little tracking markers in his face. He was very cooperative, that little baby. He sat very still. I took a lot of pictures and then deep faked his face with the music and the color timing. It's really creepy, which is the point.
Rolling.
When you're working with babies, small children, you don't always know what you're gonna get. So it's about working with the babies and then choosing moments.
Are you standing back?
It was really fun for me to see Lasher grow up so quickly and to play with all these young actors, to see them really embrace their roles and do different things. That was really fun to watch. And I like working with kids.
Wait, don't move.
You fixed it.
Yeah, I can do that now because of you.
No. It wasn't my fault. Please. I didn't want to hurt anyone. My father made me do it.
One thing we wanted to do in season 2 was to really inhabit the space of the Mayfair family.
We have a lot of great new actors this season.
Father?
Ted Levine is just an extraordinary actor and human. I've worked with him on 3 shows now. There was nobody else we wanted to be Julian. Julian is really the sort of source of dark magic in the family. That dark magic is tied to the early Mayfair roots, to Scotland.
Oh, like you. When I was young, you would not have survived.
The scenes with Ted Levine, those are really meaty scenes. They're great. He's a fantastic actor.
Even as a little boy, you let your sisters walk all over you. Dull, unimaginative little boy.
Everyone's a little intimidated because he was, such a bad guy in Silence of the Lambs, but he's a great guy.
It was really, really fun to watch him work with Harry Hamlin. It was always written as a kind of like psychological sort of emotional video game.
You're in my head. Maybe you're in my head. Did you ever think that?
You're trapped in a game where you're trying to satisfy a parent who cannot be satisfied.
Feeding my left arm to my father for dinner probably was one of my favorite moments. And his relishing the nice fatty tissue on the outside of my arm, yum, yum.
Who are you?
I'm Moira.
There's a wonderful character in the second book called Mona Mayfair. We didn't use all of the attributes of Mona, so it felt unfair to call our character Mona, but we leaned in that direction with the name Moira.
Moira, I'm so sorry about Tessa. I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to Lasher.
This is Alyssa. She plays Moira. Moira is rough around the edges, but comes around in the end.
Thank you, I do.
Alyssa, she just popped out of the audition. She's amazing.
She's a highly manipulative and selfish person. You see that, right?
As soon as she was on set, being our Moira, we started writing towards her and her voice.
He gives you a ton of power, right?
She's really got a very feisty attitude.
Moira brought a really fun, more rebellious, more of an artistic feeling to the cast and to the costumes.
I actually thought that maybe there would be another Mayfair who understands just how f***ed up this family is, but clearly not.
Moira is really an adversary for Rowan.
Go ahead. Read my mind.
Making her a mind reader gave her an incredibly strong power. She's a kind of detector of Rowan.
I need you to trust me. I'm not your enemy, okay?
Okay.
We sort of become friends in this kind of funny way, too. We got to find some humor in our combativeness.
It's nice to be called normal and human. Haven't heard that in a long time.
No.
And I think we ended up finding a great relationship between the 2 characters.
You don't trust me.
I actually do trust you.
Hey, Fielding.
What the hell are you doing here?
Had points that were gonna expire soon, so.
Ben Belbridge plays Lark. We're very excited that he's joining us this season. He's my love interest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I get so many love interests on this show.
Okay, calm down.
Lark is a character from the book. We really wanted there to be the feeling of a love triangle, that Sip is there still having feelings for Rowan, but this person comes onto the scene who also has a romantic feeling for Rowan.
What happened?
Splinter.
Oh, look at that.
Alex and Ben really like working together and have a good time, so you can feel that energy that runs between the 2 of them.
I'm a witch. It's true.
He's totally outside of this world that I'm in. So having the outside perspective on all of these very complicated, powerful people is fascinating.
Is everyone in your family witchy?
Let's shoot!
Let's do it. Let's see. Come on. Action.
Lasher!
Me and Alex, I think we really look forward to those scenes and those moments that we have together.
The scene where we're finally together, that was really fun to shoot. The dynamic between the two characters is so interesting.
Will you help me?
Of course I will.
He's a child who's coming back to his mother, and he needs her help.
Why do I do this? Why do I feel this way?
In some ways, it's the story of a child with a parent, you know, growing up and saying, you're just trying to control me. You can't do that.
You don't want to help me. You would control me.
And he shoves her down, and off he runs.
Somebody has to control you. You're killing people.
So we had a big day where Lasher's running through the woods and Rowan's chasing him. You know, it's got some fun stuff.
When you're designing a sequence like this, first of all, you have to have a great director, and that director is planning out the sequence, and then you're talking to your stunt coordinators. The thing that's so fun about this kind of storytelling is that it's always collaborative.
See it start to fall because I want you to look at it. Great. But then you run, you get your head down. Oh, like yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, great.
In these supernatural shows, the stunt department is kind of behind the scenes trying to figure out how to make the actors look supernatural without using vis effects. For instance, Lasher running fast in the woods, it was easier to put the camera on a wire and then do a counter move to make the speed faster. And then we had to do a stunt where we had Lasher running towards a tree that burst into flames.
They set things on fire, trees were falling. It's great, I love that stuff.
Lasher, our actor, did some really good work near the fire, which was really cool. But we didn't want to light him. So Mike Yan is a great stunt double for him and has a lot of fire experience. We put Nomex underneath his clothing. We fireproofed his outfit. We even put fire safety gel on his face and his hands and his hair just to make sure that we were super safe because we just wanted to see that close proximity.
That'll wake you up in the morning, Mike.
We worked with special effects to make sure that the fire bursts were the same every time and consistent.
Well, the fire is basically propane controlled, and we actually have a tree that we've built out of steel and ceramic, and we have tubes that run up it to make sure that it actually ignites and sets a nice, beautiful fire.
The practical pass will get us probably 80% there, but it'll get touched up to look like a real tree. A little more leaves, possibly more embers, because flying embers, they can catch fire, so they might be added.
Well, it's kind of like a choreographed dance to make it look really, really good. So it was a fun little night.
It's nice because you also get to see Rowan's power. He brings the strength out of her. He brings the magic out of her.
You were never my child. No!
When we were talking about the scene of the quelling, which is Lasher coming home, Rowan encountering him as the family watches, we really talked about it kind of like a Western a little bit. There's the feeling of a long street, there's the feeling of two adversaries confronting each other, and this moment where Rowan has this decision to make.
Do it.
Can I kill him? Will I kill him?
Now!
Go! It's a queller. This is the new standard. You know, the last one had like a little, like a type thing, so we wanted to really improve it.
That's a huge scene, and it was fun working with everyone. It was my first scene working with Tongai this season.
But it was 2 a.m. in the morning. Okay, it's fun. I'm staying up all night, keeping people safe from the supernatural.
They will try to tranquilize them, basically. The quelling powder is a tranquilizer agent, which goes horribly wrong, and they tranquilize Rowan.
I just assumed it was safe. I didn't even ask. I remember us mostly making fun of the queller machine.
Turkey based of knife.
It's a purple powder. It's from the Indian Holi festival. It's a powder that they use to throw into the air. When we actually do squeeze it at someone, we don't really put powder in people's faces. It's a safety thing.
I forgot that I was supposed to react to your powder. Can someone throw flour on me?
So that's one visual effect, because with powders that can go in the eyes, the reset time on wardrobe is 10-20 minutes. It's a visual effect. It's a fluid simulation.
No!
We've watched Lasher become a benign being. Lasher is not a killer. So that showdown becomes a moment of her protecting him and her kind of taking the bullet for him in a way. And when Rowan falls to the ground, our director, Logan, framed the shot really beautifully. It's just half of her face that you're seeing, and her eye is open, and then everything is in her point of view. You know, the faces of the family and Moira and the Talamasca as they take Lasher away. She has to register what's happening, but can't do anything about it.
Any idea where Albrecht is?
Hasn't come in yet.
The track on his car. I need you to get the coordinates for me.
Today is one of the pivotal turning points, the realization that Albrecht has absconded with Lasher.
It was really fun that day shooting all the Talamasca sort of arriving and discovering that Albrecht's abandoned the car.
We're setting up a shot where a hero's going to be coming in. We got a camera mounted in the back of his vehicle for him to discover our car.
We had plenty of rehearsal time. We have to hit our mark because our actor is actually getting out of the car, so we can't pinch him.
We're coming into a hard stop with gravel conditions, so there's sliding and there's traction control that we want to make sure that we're aware of and keeping everyone safe.
Speeding into the scene, a car is going like at 60 miles an hour, something crazy. Coming out of the car and into the scene, you've already got like momentum. So it definitely did help to ante up the emotions that day.
Spread out. Bag anything that might be relevant, big or small.
Even on the page, I hadn't realized how all those things were colliding at once.
It's great. It's the first time that Cyprian gets to really release his frustration.
The first take, I heard this scream of rage, and I turned around and I was like, wait a second, wait, but that was in the scene, you know? And I had always imagined Sip being upset and angry, but Tungai took it to this other place.
No! 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 No!
It was so much better than what we'd written. It was so powerful, and I think he felt it. He's the one who feels the way the story's coming together, and it was great.
Enough was enough.
What did you do?
I didn't do it, you did.
When you're writing a story initially, you aren't thinking about what it's going to take from the VFX. You're just trying to tell a great story. I don't think any of us had any idea what we were asking the crew to do.
You tricked me.
Not a trick. A rule.
The puzzle of that dollhouse was so extraordinary. Nobody had ever really tried to VFX inside of a space like this, another ongoing full scene, and to watch it over the shoulder of a character in one space.
That's me.
Half of you.
There was the 2D design, there was the paper design, there was the first 3D printed plastic design.
The dollhouse is a 1:24 scale model of the actual First Street house.
They've made a perfect replica of the First Street house, down to like cracks in the sidewalk, peeling paint, the plants. It's amazing.
There were 3 artists locally here in New Orleans that are actually building the actual dollhouse.
They've been making it for about 2.5 months. It's been in lockup so that nobody can actually bump into it because so many man hours have gone into this thing.
This is the dollhouse model that was used by the director and the DP to go through the shots with visual effects to make sure that they could see into the dollhouse. They did a bunch of tests with green screen, lighting it, and making sure that everything on the day goes smoothly.
A VFX team is going to lay in all of these scenes into the dollhouse. They'll all be playing simultaneously. We'll be able to see what every character is doing in each of the rooms.
And it intercuts in the story.
So if Julian was going to lean in and look at this angle into the parlor, there had to be a camera pointed at that angle so it would seem like his eye was looking in there. That meant that every scene there were 6 additional setups of cameras at different eye lines and angles.
The process is a lot of rehearsing because when the actors are looking into the dollhouse, there's no video playback where they can react to. Someone will read the lines off camera so they can act accordingly.
You're not yourself. Trust what you're feeling. You can get me out.
Our actors are going to look like tiny dollhouse figures moving around.
They hired like a bunch of little tiny actors.
They hired a bunch of little guys.
Yeah, but they're extra. Like
No, they're little guys.
This idea that we had in the writing room, and to see it executed so beautifully and meticulously it's really quite stunning.
It was so much more complicated than any of us imagined, and it was so fun and challenging.
I have enjoyed our time together far more than I had expected.
said it would feel like home, but I don't feel anything.
We'll give it some time. It was your home once. Maybe it'll start coming back to you.
Episode 6 is the first of 3 chapters in which our Mayfair family goes to Scotland to confront the other Mayfair family.
You guys, Kilbride's only a couple miles away.
Let's go meet them.
Now, we're in Ireland, not in Scotland, but it's indescribable. You're surrounded by old stones. You're surrounded by a different kind of light and sky. There's no way to replace that.
It's really cool to shoot another world.
We started here on day 60 of shooting. Thought we would all be really, really tired, and it's just energizing to be here.
The different locations that we're shooting, they're so perfect. They do so much of the work for you. It's a very dramatic place.
It's a castle. I mean, who doesn't want to shoot in a castle?
There is real history in a lot of the places that we're filming, and I think it's inevitable that it makes it into the show.
I always knew this day would come, but I can't tell you how glorious it is to see it arrive.
It was very much like kind of falling through a rabbit hole into a completely different world. One of the wonderful things about that was bringing all of the New Orleans characters through that portal and dropping them in and seeing how different they looked in Scotland.
We get to experience a whole other world and move the characters from where they're comfortable and where they are sort of in charge and bring them to where other people are in charge. And that completely changes the dynamic and the magic of the show.
Can I try?
Why not?
We had 10 minutes left of night before it turned to daylight, and we had to get a bullseye. And we were like, how are we gonna get this shot of Alex and then have time to get the insert of the bullseye? Well, we didn't have to, because Alex threw the axe and got a bullseye.
No visual effects on the axe throwing.
She's just got this extraordinary ability to do amazing things.
Don't understand why this is necessary.
You won't. I was lying to you.
The back half of the season is like nothing we've done before. It really is a folk horror piece. We were inspired in the writer's room by watching the early Wicker Man from the 70s. Midsommar is another one. There's a wonderful documentary actually on AMC about folk horror, and every writer in the writer's room just devoured it.
We thought of certain films that talked about this sort of pagan history and about witches and about warlocks.
Come out to a set like this, surrounded by taxidermied animals and horns. Yeah, there's a lot of dead animals, which was uncomfortable. So welcome to Kilbride Castle.
Kilbride Castle, these are my horns.
Yeah, so Alyssa collects moose. Meese? What's the plural?
This is Jeff.
That's Jeff up there in the wall.
Come here, let's see if Alex is. Great idea. Hey, Wolfman.
She likes when we invade.
What are you guys doing?
Alex just got done murdering one of the moose out there, which is what the
my
blood
little
is
moose.
for.
I wouldn't hurt
the
a fly.
horns over there.
It's fake.
That's what she says.
Fun fact, I've been on the show for months. This is our first interaction off camera.
Well, you guys don't have food with you, so get the hell out.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the next room.
What the is that?
Oh, God. So apparently, Michaelmas is a Catholic feast in honor of the Archangel Michael.
This doesn't seem very Catholic.
We did, in the writer's room, a lot of research on a Michaelmas celebration and sent a bunch of references. The art department, they took it to the most extraordinary place.
Background! Action!
We have this village with all of these little stone buildings and courtyards, hills around it all.
It's actually a town in Wicklow called Hollywood, and they transformed the entire town. Set decorating team did a fantastic job.
The festival costumes came from actual performers coming in from theaters and groups that we rented costumes from, but there were so many costumes that we made in-house.
Michaelmas in this place should feel like Mardi Gras feels. A lot of people dress up in strange costumes.
Everybody's got these sort of crazy, ancient, traditional garbs, and it's creepy, but handsomely creepy, I would say.
The festival is the first stage in what's about to happen. That's quite a bloody outcome.
This isn't okay. Something is very wrong.
So you want that sense of building dread.
I can't keep waiting on you lot. Are you coming or you not?
Welcome home. I'm your Uncle Ian.
I was told we were being taken to a hotel.
Well, we see a lot of coming and going here. We're practically the Crown Plaza.
Rowan's extended family is very strange.
Brother.
And she knows immediately that something's wrong. Where's Lasher?
Oh, Mother Bear. I love it. Of course, you must be dying to see him.
There's a ruthlessness to these people, for sure. And that quality of ruthlessness in any walk of life is a scary thing, because they're not going to be deterred.
So wonderful Dennis Boutsikaris has been our Albrecht, and so I went and said, you know, by the way, we're gonna kill you. And would you mind going to New York and getting your face cast in plaster so that we can turn it into a skin mask? And he was wonderful about it. So we have Albrecht's face here with us.
Chill out, man. It's from the festival.
That's human skin.
A little squeamish, are you?
I thought the New Orleans Mayfairs were pretty twisted, but the Scottish ones are really twisted.
How can I justify what I've done unless I fulfill my better purpose?
Having children.
And through them bringing nature back to the world.
I'm very sympathetic to Lasher. We find out about him being a Tautos and that he's come to Scotland to seek his mate.
We've preserved Anne Rice's kind of magical Taltos, but we wanted to understand by the end of the season that the Taltos are in fact benign creatures. Their blood is magical and life-giving to the forests, to the magical creatures of the forest.
These Tautos will make children, and these children will be a rebirth of love and life to the world.
That one's mine.
Or so he thinks.
Lasher in episode 7 has really come to understand his purpose in a way that makes him impervious to any kind of reason or logic. It's a feeling that he has.
Prove to me that you care. Stay for my wedding. Give your son away.
Lasher's wedding was really interesting.
We are rolling.
It did surprise me, but it surprised me in a really good way.
Lasher's wedding was the strangest wedding you've ever seen. Really, the wedding of two magical, earthbound, super sensual, sexual, lusting beings who have to be restrained so that they don't leap on each other until after the ceremony is over.
It's like this animal inside them that when Lasher and Emleth see each other, it's like focus is locked on like a magnet.
The fantastic thing about the Mayfair Witches team is that everyone more than delivers. It's not just that they build the house from the blueprint, they build you this thing that's beyond what you imagine. The pergola, the blossoms in the trees, the costumes, and also so much of it crafted here by people who've worked with real natural materials.
Lasher's wedding costume, it was scripted, and it was all about the fact that Taltos bring life. So we were tasked with creating that well before the wedding.
What I'm wearing is quite out there. It's sort of a mix between hippie flower, midsummer with hardcore S&M. It's very strange.
The leather piece was made in Ireland by my crew before I ever met them. It was a leather chest piece that had vines growing and living flowers and all these things about what he could do in bringing life. One of the pieces that's worn underneath the leather chest piece is very much inspired by a Tudor doublet, which that nods to our 16th century origins.
It's like a straitjacket. He's like chain, bolts, all the rest of it. And that's to prevent them from just like going at it straight away.
Ashla, by the power of the mountain. No. It's not what you think.
Emma's wedding dress, I wanted it to feel almost like it was smoke that she was moving through. And so the sleeve is very billowy and it's unlined chiffon and you can see her moving through it. The rope piece that goes down her front was created by an artist in New Orleans named Seth Dam, whose work I've followed for years. It's a custom piece made for her.
And action!
I was so delighted that I could finally put Alex in something that was like a show-stopping couture gown. I was extremely delighted to have the talent to build that dress. She was given this dress by a mentor, the head of the house in Scotland. It's a mother of the bride dress, but also it's very open. It showcases Rowan's beauty, but it does also leave her a little bit vulnerable.
You don't have to do this. Rowan doesn't leave because whether she wants to admit it or not, whether he's her son or her lover or her demon or whatever he may be to her, she is so drawn to him and he is so important to her in her identity, and she knows that her power is tied to him. She knows that her strength is tied to him, and I think at the end of the day, she can't leave that kind of power and love behind.
I think if you look deep inside yourself, you'd realize that you want me with you because of what I do for you.
During Lasher's wedding, Lasher and Emilith come charging towards each other, and they're restrained in a harness and, these ropes, and I have these stunt guys back there acting as sort of henchmen that are holding them back.
The ropes and pulling them back, and I'm doing all that sort of thing. It was excuse me, weird and strange, but kind of magical at the same time.
And so the trick to that gag was the prop ropes, the harnesses that they were wearing, were not strong enough to hold back the human. So we had to back tag them with a stunt line that went to a pulley system in the back that we could have two stunt riggers back there feeding them and holding them back, with some mechanical advantage back there. And so therefore the actors can hit the end of those lines and just make it look violent. They did a wonderful job.
They do say in Scotland, it's not a good wedding unless there's a disco and a fight, at least one fight. Then you got a good wedding.
Welcome to a bloody day in Ireland where axes will fly.
Shooting something like the battle sequence is a lot like fighting a battle, right? You plan and plan and plan, and you get the best possible soldiers that you can, and at the end of the day, it's unpredictable, but it really worked.
Where are they?
They're armed. Knives, swords, who knows what else.
We have been planning this for months. That's not an exaggeration. Every single department has had to get involved in this. It is all hands on deck.
I hoped I'd never kill again, but I will if I must.
When we were told that we're going to Ireland for the last 3 episodes, we knew that that meant some really good battle scenes in front of some cool castles. We wanted to do something indigenous, sort of Viking style. And I gotta tell you, those stunt guys back there, they all did Vikings. They all did Valhalla. So it was really nice to be able to work with these guys who know how to yield axes and big knives and things like that.
And that's always the fun stuff. I think I quite look forward to the action-y stuff, and especially out here when it's real, like, battle.
So we design these sections purposefully so we can hide the stunt double in it.
Stunt guys, go back to 1, and then I'll say, here we go, 3, 2, 1, action.
Also, we design the fight so there's heroic moments for Jack. There's a punch, and then there's a big heroic moment where he turns towards camera so we can see that it's Jack.
Jack, to be honest, is very good, so a lot of his stuff looks just as good as mine, and he picks up all the little notes very well. And Jack has some good ideas, especially to do with like different axe hits and when he likes to do his fall and his look back and stuff, so all that stuff is me trying to mirror him.
It's always fun when you actually get to do it yourself, but sometimes you see the other guys do it and you realise why they're the professionals.
That's why we get into this in the first place, because we're just big kids who like doing this stuff.
You always want to get that epic death for camera. It's just dying sometimes is more entertaining, it's more creative. Maybe it's just because I haven't got to play the hero yet.
It was 3 or 4 days of rehearsal with these guys. I shot a pretty elaborate previs of it so the director and the showrunner could look at it. But then when we get to second unit, we're gonna get down and dirty. We're gonna start putting wires and harnesses on people and pulling them back. These are tricks that we do to make the actors look more powerful. Rowan flicks a guy through the air, so we're gonna do a nice big wire pull, twisting in the air, and wham, goes to the ground real hard. I think it's funny how many different hand gestures she's done for all the different witch powers.
I just really go for it. I'm like...
Go ahead and do one to me. Just throw.
3, 2, 1, action!
Just remember, any one of us is harmed, and that is the man who gets it.
I'm afraid you got it wrong.
Today, I am no longer Cortland.
Where did Cortland get that kind of power? I don't think that that's Cortland.
My body's been taken over by my father. They thought Cortland was a little bit too mean in season 1. They wanted to lighten him up a little bit. So now I get to be mean and horrible and cannibalistic. I'm now strangely very light, so I can float around.
Initially, I was like, you know what, the stunt double will do this, but it's like a Disney ride. So Harry was like, I'm going on that ride, Andy. Sign me up.
I will fly. Yeah.
Come to join our celebration. I've come for my children. Release them and no one has to die.
So we have a wolf in this show.
He's using Taltos magic.
I think everybody kind of just wanted to put it on the VFX department. But when it comes to VFX and stunts, sometimes you need some practical elements.
If the wolf is not the most complicated, it is probably the second most complicated, after the dollhouse.
We have a real dog who's apparently a very well-trained police dog named Dracul.
Hey, Dracul. The real dog, it's fantastic reference, doing the action that the CGI wolf will later do. CG animals that are furry are challenging. We shoot the actors without a wolf, and then we do a couple of reference passes. One is a full-size puppet hat that we carry through camera where the wolf will run, and a grayscale wolf for just lighting reference.
Somebody here locally was building the head of a wolf, and everybody's like, well, Andy's gonna puppeteer that thing, right? I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna try to do that.
When you first see the wolf puppet get carried across the battlefield, there was a bit of a collective chuckle.
I think that was just to make fun of me because I'm not sure they're gonna use that at all. Then Dracul did the same run and nailed it better than me.
When he runs, that's for the animators. They animate the wolf over the dog, basically frame by frame. You combine all those elements and you have a CGI wolf.
Long live the Glen. Long live the Taltos.
I always knew that this was going to be my ending in season 2 from the beginning. Anybody can die.
He's gone, Rowan.
His heart's still beating. We wanted to feel the inevitability of Lasher's destruction at the hands of the Mayfairs, and I thought one of the things that would be really surprising is if it happens very early in the episode. And he has this second life in the second part of the episode. And that was really, really fun because then you get this moment where, well, now is he gonna die or not?
I don't think I've ever lived on camera. We're always dying and never seem to make it.
It was pretty awful, actually. I mean, I gotta say, I was dismayed at his death at my hands. And then you feel, ooh, this is gonna be all sorts of exciting.
When Lasher gets hit by the axe from Amintha, we're gonna do it in a couple different ways.
Step in, man.
We're going to do a classic trick that they do in the old cowboy movies, which is called a whip pan, which is we see the person throw, we whip the camera this way, and then we whip the camera again to the person receiving the axe, but the axe is already in the chest. And so that movement with the camera makes it feel like the axe is flying through the air and gets him in the chest. But we're also going to do something with our VisFX supervisor where Amintha throws the axe towards the lens. And so we're going to do a couple different variations where she fakes it, but then we're going to actually throw a rubber axe towards the lens with a protective area across the lens so he can get that piece of the axe flipping through the air. I think it'll look really, really good.
By the way, how are you with a hatchet?
I'm not at all well versed, actually, in that, but today's going to be a learning curve.
Is that right?
But it's going to be fatal.
It's always fun to read the scripts and see where we're going to take the story. There's so many different ways we could go. So seeing something as heartbreaking as the loss of this being that has been so important to Rowan, it's a very huge moment, and I love shooting those kinds of scenes.
You can tell there's something real and emotional there, and having to say goodbye, it does feel like something special.
It's quite good because he's working with Alex, who I adore. It's such a good report there, so there's a lot of laughter through the tears.
Please, God, no! Why did you only sign a 2-season contract?
Anytime you wrap a season, the memories that you have just from interacting with your cast, the crew, it's always bittersweet.
You sweating? Are you nervous?
No, I'm not.
We shoot this show for a long time, so we all have become really close. It's like leaving an overextended summer camp. Rowan lost a lot, but she has the power that she always wanted. And she has this huge secret that no one knows about. So she is stepping into a completely new world.
There's something heartbreaking about seeing Cortland turn into his terrible father. It's fun to have been able to bring him on a redemptive arc and also find a way for him to be back as an antagonist for us.
You're gonna have a battle on your hands.
The third book in the series is called Taltos, so we've certainly left the door open that Emeleth is out in the world with one of her children, perhaps in the care of the Talamasca.
I'm excited to see how far and how deep we go down this rabbit hole.
I'm hoping that I get to be Cortland again at some point.
There are no rules, and that makes for great television.
All the great things that we talked about are possible. We've really leveled up at the end of this season.
I won't let you down.
I'm curious to see where the writers take it.
You have no idea what I'm planning.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Hi, Mom.